Good evening, music lovers. My name is Caesar Pink.
Let your mama down. Let your mama down. Let your mama down. Baby, please.
Welcome to my channel. Tonight we're going to check out Grand Funk Railroad playing Inside Looking Out. And today I have a special guest, Will Markley. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Correct, yeah.
And Will is a musician, a songwriter, a man of many talents. And before we get started talking to him, though, all the proceeds from this channel are donated to the Arete Living Arts Foundation, a 501c nonprofit. Our mission is to create and support arts that inspire personal, political, or spiritual awakening. So please like and subscribe, or if you want to do more, you could join our Patreon or make a tax-deductible donation to the foundation through the PayPal links. All are in the description below. Well, let's get to the song. Now, do you know Grand Funk at all?
I do not.
Surely you know, like, we're an American band.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
Okay, that's Grand Funk?
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about them. They started off in Flint, Michigan, an old factory town, which is now, I've been to Flint, it's a hellhole now. But anyways, and they were a three-piece upstarts. They came out, became massively big. The critics hated them. And this was, you know, they're a three-piece. They came out when Cream had just came out and the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Everybody's, these guys are horrible. They can't play.
Well, let me ask you, if you don't mind me interrupting, why did they not like them?
They said they couldn't play their instruments.
Oh, okay. It's just slop to them.
But when I was a kid, when they were a three-piece band, I loved them. And coming back to them now, and this video in particular is very interesting. I look at it now like, well, this is kind of like I was talking about punk prog, because it's like these guys, do they play their instruments well or not? I'll let you decide that. But their songs are like trying to be, you know, very complex. And but this performance, I think it's pretty. But to go on about Grand Funk, they had 5 albums. They were really big. And they realized that their manager was ripping them off, taking all the money. So 2 weeks before their contract with him was supposed to dissolve, they said, we fire you. So that gives him right to sue them. And he tried to take the name and say he owned it. He had made it that he owned everything.
Okay.
So they're in bad shape for a couple of years. And this is also the time in early 60s, late 60s, and early 70s. There was a lot of great music becoming famous because FM radio would play this shit, these long songs. And FM radio at this time that they had their problems was becoming commercialized. So they decided to become a 4-piece and only write within the pop song structure because that's all that radio would play. So they went from being this like wacky creative band.
It's in like A, B, A, B, C, B, yeah. But also like 3.5-minute tracks and all that. And,
they became much more famous. They had lots of big hits, but their albums were so boring. And to me, it was kind of like the end of the road. And this song is called Inside Looking Out. I think it was first performed by the Animals, but they did a vast restructuring of it. And see what you think about this.
I'm sitting here lonely like a broken man. I serve my time doing the best I can. Walls and bars, they surround me, but I don't want no sympathy. No, baby, no. All I need is some tender loving to keep me sane in this burning oven. And when my time is up, you be my reaper. Like his word on a God's green earth. Be my reaper, yeah. Won't keep fucking that thing.
stop it right there for a second.
Okay, cool.
You see those bass amps?
Like the massive size of them?
And that time, this would have been...
They needed like 200 square foot in order to provide their correct amount of bass?
This was 69, but when I was a kid in like 73, if you jammed with the local bass player you knew, he'd come in with that shit, these amps that were this tall, bring them into your living room. And
that's just because the tech wasn't there yet, or what?
they thought it was cool. But he actually does have a really great bass sound if you just listen to the bass. I really love his bass sound.
Are they Sun basses? Sun bass amps?
I can't tell.
What kind of mics are those?
I know, a little distorted.
Which is great. Fro. It's like long straight hair and fro in the back.
Now, I'll tell you a little bit.
Look at that face.
When I was in 8th grade, I had a huge afro.
Really?
Yeah, and that made me real popular in my high school, I can tell you. And I was really influenced by this drummer. And I remember walking down the hall, and this guy yells at me, Don Brewer, which is the drummer's name. I don't know if you know Mark Bush. He became like the DJ in town at one point.
Okay.
Anyways, he caught on to that, but yeah.
What year was this?
69.
Ice cold water running through my veins, you know they try and drag me back to work again. Pain and blisters on my mind and hands. Work all day making up a nickel bags in a notes are beating me, driving me wild. I feel happy like a newborn child. Now when my time is up, you wait and see. These walls and bars won't keep their stuff from me.
What the hell's on his arm? Sorry, I gotta ask. What the hell's on his arm?
I think it's some kind of...
Like a leather strap on his arm?
Some kind of armband.
Does that symbolize something?
It was like a... You know, it's still kind of the hippie days, and that was like a hippie thing you would see sometimes. Stop here. And now one thing you notice about the drummer, he's really like heavy-footed, you know what I mean? Like, and it's got like a kind of weird simplicity that I think was one of the reasons why. Because they always point him out, this horrible drummer. But I kind of always loved what he did, you know what I mean?
Well, as a drummer, do you, like, when you listen to a band, do you feel like you listen to the chords and the lyrics and stuff like that first, or do you listen to the drums first?
I probably listen to the lyrics are important to me and the overall thing, but I do get to the drummer and be like, you know, it might be a band I hate, but I'm like, that drummer kicks ass, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, let me ask you, what are the lyrics about in this to you? Because I haven't been able to focus on them yet because there's so much, like, such a saturation of things to absorb.
Well, keep in mind, when I first listened to this, I was in 5th grade.
Right. Yeah, there's that.
What he did here, this was originally a song about a guy being in jail talking about his girlfriend that he missed. But he changed it to be a little bit of a pot reference. The original line was, when I get out, you'll be my reason. He says, Farner says, when I get out, you'll be my reefer. Another time he says, I work all day making up a burlap sack. Farmer changed it, work all day making up a nickel bag, which people don't even know that was like a amount of pot you would buy.
Right.
But
yeah, in the dispensaries they don't use the term nickel bag anymore.
Yeah, but I don't know what I exactly thought of. I probably just got into more of the emotion at that. You know?
Oh, it's so emotive. Yeah, which has always been my biggest attraction with music in general. And it's something that I feel like with the homogenization of music that you don't, you're finding less and less of. Like, it's not cool to go, it's like,
Or
or let
like-
it be like this all the time.
Yeah, and you can't like waver off a note. It has to be,
Yeah.
get a machine.
pitch corrected. Yeah.
But a funny story, my first apartment, there was a guy that lived upstairs, a couple, and the guy had just gotten out of jail. And every now and then he would have his jail buddies over, and I'd hear them singing this song inside the band. And the next song I'm going to do a music video is called Life in a Slow Lane, about what I felt being in a small town, wanting to get out. And I have a line, see if I can remember it. Anyways, I tell that story because there are other things would be, they knew we lived right beside the McDonald's, and they knew what time they threw out the nuggets, and they would go down
The
and get the
dumpster
nuggets out
dive.
while they're
Yeah,
still warm
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So I put that whole story into the song.
They might even have been made of chicken back then.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Anyway. I'll stop quick. Now, I think a lot of musicians would be ashamed to play this bass part, which is whoa. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I can't do one note every 2 measures. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh no, it's all about the space, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but especially in a 3-piece, it's like everything. When you're in a rock 3-piece, everything every person does is monumentally powerful at all times.
Yeah.
So you have to really utilize all that, like.
do you ever hear the quote from the keyboard player from Parliament Funkadelic?
Okay.
When he joined the Talking Heads, he would tell them, "The funk is in the hole."
Funk is in the as in the
Leave
funk is
space.
like fuck off and I'm sorry, am I allowed to swear on this? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's all.
But piss off and let space for the everybody
guy.
else.
Yeah. So I always, because that's a hard thing, I play
The
with,
plight of the bass player.
but I play with a lot of like technical musicians, and I'm always like, leave some space. You know what I mean? Leave space for everything, so it'll come together.
Yeah.
The drums is pretty much just on that hi-hat.
Just real quick note. I got to tell you that I've always said that the one distinguishing fact that I know when like in a studio session or something and I'm working with a drummer I've never worked with before, or we're rehearsing and we're on tour but the drummer got sick or whatever and you got to fill in. The first thing I want to hear is how the drummer hits that snare, and if they hit it right, which would be the complete opposite of what I just did there, it pulls and it just goes and it just, there's such a distinct, like, when I hit a snare, it goes dung. When they hit a snare, it goes bah. And it's, when you hear somebody do that, it's like, okay, game over, they know what they're doing.
Well, one of my big, what I felt were strengths when I was a drummer was, the ability to get multiple sounds out of the snare. You have hitting the head, but then you hit the rim and the head, and it's like
Rim
a gun.
shot. Yeah.
And I would do a rule that would be like, head, rim shot, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you get this whole, with just a 16-note rule or whatever, you could have this whole dynamic of growth.
And all with accents and
Yeah.
stuff too. And also the, like the proximity of what part of the head you're hitting, the higher part or
Yeah.
the center, it's completely different sounding. So. It's such massive bass drummers.
one thing I'll say to look for is they are so in tune with each other.
Oh yeah, they've done this 100 million times for
Yep.
sure. Yeah, this is all they want to do. That's sick.
Now that tone he has right there, I've actually done Google searches. How did he get that tone?
It sounds to me like it's not distortion; it's blowing an amp, basically.
Well, they said he had some kind of old guitar that had a something built into it that he could,
Like a gain push.
yeah, that would get that sound.
But I keep seeing him go with his right foot, I think.
Well, he must have used some
There was some kind of drive.
kind of pedal, because I heard a live album, and after they wanted to do an encore, but somebody had stolen his pedal once he left stage, and he was saying, like, if you just give us back the pedal, we can do the encore, and then you can still take it away after that, but just give it back.
I'll buy another pedal, okay, man? Just bring me back the pedal for the rest of the show.
Okay.
I need you right now, mama. I need you right now, baby. You're right by my side, honey.
I keep picking up Get Free vibes. Is that crazy? I don't know.
Well, definitely the vocals.
Come on up and get down with me. I make you feel real good. Just watch and see.
This is the part I love the drumming. I used to play along with this record.
Or bass also kicked way out.
I'm feeling like a kid, and I love this part.
Oh, here comes the end. How are we gonna do it this time? I find it interesting the bass player is doing what the guitar player normally does at the end of a blues jam, and the guitar player is doing what the bass player normally does at the end of a blues jam, where the guitar player is hanging on to like wah, 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 same one note, and the bass player is going.
Oh, I would have never picked up on that.
Hell yeah.
Let's start. What did you make of them musically as far as their technical ability?
Everybody was crazy. The drummer, I mean, I feel like the guitarist was, it's hard to say this because sometimes you can't tell a musician's ability by what they do in a performance because, you know, to show reserve and to not like be like, here I am, I'm doing the most things I can do. Like, you know, like that's being a good musician. Mm-hmm. Right? So in this case, the singer guitarist was like in the limelight, right? But the drummer had his moments. The bass player has moments. I felt like in a good jazz trio or whatever, like they all kind of took turns. Surely it was on the singer the most, but dude had a hell of a voice. And I just wish that I could sing like that a little more often.
Yeah.
And when I did, it wouldn't make me lose my voice for 4 days afterwards.
Now, any thoughts on the song and the structure of it?
Structurally, it was crazy. I would never try, in 2025, I would never try to write a song like that and hope that it would be successful in any way. Because it was insane. The structure was insane, you know, like 1 minute it's a blues song, 1 minute it's a soul song, the next minute it's like, dun, dun, dun. I don't know, I'm curious their proximity with Jimi Hendrix because I feel like there was some similar things going on there. It was like very powerful rock trio. Like that reminds me of the reverse of it would be which is what's the wind song?
Wind Cries Mary?
And the wind cries Mary. Yeah.
Oh, I think they came out right at that, you know, maybe just a little after the Jimi.
They were just all drinking the same water, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, the critics compared them badly to those other groups. And really, what was really interesting to me, and this dates back, comes back to what I just did promotionally, when their first album came out, they put all the really horrible reviews they got on the liner of the album. And I remember reading them, you know.
It's a little embittered, but sure, fair enough.
But I was in 5th grade and got really pissed. And it was identify with them more. Like, yeah, how can they do that to these guys? I love them.
Well, I'm sure that was what they were going for.
Yeah. But, you know, with my group, we either get these amazing reviews or these horrible reviews. And the horrible ones can be really funny, like, listen and try not to throw up. And so I released a press release with our last album. It would have like one of these really bad reviews, really good one, back and forth, just like one line from each. And even more than the thing about genres, that really pissed off the journalists, like really. You know, I thought it was funny as hell. We would read that stuff and laugh, but they just were like, one guy, his entire review was like, this is horrible. There, you got your bad review. You know, it's like, but
he wasn't wasting his time with your review, apparently.
Yeah, and a lot of that happened. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But
well, I think it's pretty cool when you get to the point in your life where you can analyze your reviews, because I think there's a lot of people that don't get reviews, and there's no reviews worse than no reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'll say it's gotten a lot harder in the last 10 years, because that was my thing. I could always get tons of press.
Yeah.
But this last year, press has been really hard to get. But another thing about,
I'm sorry there, Jeff.
about this band is my favorite album when I was in grade school was this Grand Funk Live, horrible recording. I didn't know that when I was a kid. But, I take the kid to school, we wait at this bus stop, coffee shop sells used albums. And I see this Grand Funk album there, $3. I go to pay for it, they only charge me $1. I go back and listen to it, it's not in great shape, full of crickles. And like I said, the recording is horrible, but I loved it. I just played it for days and days, and despite all of that, it sounded so fantastic.
Well, I will say that, might be the one in one handful of 9-minute songs I've ever enjoyed, the whole way through.
Yeah.
So cheers to that.
Yeah, well, the performance helps a lot. They were great performers in their way.
What was the studio recording? Do you have any idea what the studio recording length was?
It was the same length, but
really?
But I listened to it recently, and it wasn't as good.
Music like that you can't do in a studio. When it's a conversation, and people have to witness it to be part of that conversation, right? So when you just put it on, it's just kind of like.
Well, when they went into the studio, their manager was producing them. They didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it came out really good, but it was definitely crude. One more weird story. As the years went by, they broke up, got back together, toured for a little while. And while they were on tour, the bass player comes and says, "We need to start a corporation with the 3 original members." And Mark Farner, the singer's like, "Okay." And the bass player's like, "I have the papers up in my room, I'll go get them." So he signs the papers. Now he
owns everything?
Mark Farner owns 1/3 of the corporation. The other two take the name and tell him to get lost. And so the bass player and drummer tour as Grand Funk, and Mark Farner can't use the name. So,
wow.
Yeah. But anyways, well...
Don't get in bands, kids.
Yeah.
It all turns to politics in the end.
Yeah. When the lawyers come in, you know you're screwed. But thanks for visiting my channel. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them, or suggestions for other tunes to review, let me know. And thanks again. And thanks to Will for joining me.